if you derive revenue from affiliate programs or advertising of any kind, this is going to be kind of important to pay attention to. And Angel, I think you've got it from here, so go ahead.
All right. And yay, it's not scrolling. Woohoo. So basically, what brought this about was a rant one day when I was out eating with Chris, and I was starting to rant about tax law and how different legislatures were taking on taxes without really knowing a lot about the situation. There's a lot of examples out there, and this particular one has to do with affiliate tax, and specifically with Amazon, because the way these taxes were structured, they targeted Amazon as the big target, and every tax since then that was structured anywhere near similarly was titled the Amazon tax as a nickname. So to give you a little bit of background, according to the IAB, the Internet Advertising Bureau, from 2000 to 2008, internet revenue on marketing and advertising has gone to $23.4 billion. It's a lot of advertising out there. And when you grow an industry that much, you know, it becomes a target for other things, including legislative initiatives. So since it is a pretty big target, one of the highest profile companies, of course, in that target is Amazon. And so what all this goes back to is a particular law called Quill Corp versus North Dakota. The law passed in 1992. The law was a ruling, and it was a decision where the court said that in order for an interstate transaction to have a sales tax, this is a state sales tax, applied to it, as opposed to a use tax, there has to be a substantial presence on behalf of the business providing the goods. The court found that when a vendor is not physically present in a state, they can purposely avail of its benefits in the economic market in the state without having to pay a tax, right? So this was, the idea was that an out-of-state company could advertise or do things in a state and, you know, target that state's customers but not have to pay the tax. In this kind of case, it was a catalog merchant. Quill's a catalog merchant out there, and Dakota was trying to tax them for distributing their catalogs, even though the actual sales and transactions were happening in Quill's home state. So after that ruling, the question became, what's considered a substantial presence in a state? And it became kind of a nebulous for companies out there, because if a company believes it does not have a nexus in a state, and the state later finds that it does, the company will owe tax from the point that it's found in violation to the point of any law previous, right? So there's penalties and beyond. So there's an old history there. If a company errs on the side of caution and collects sales and use tax on every state, it may be incurring unnecessary compliance costs and, of course, increased product costs. So to give you like magnitude here, there are 7,500 different tax jurisdictions that affect internet transactions in the US. The companies have to figure out if they need to comply with or not. So in the case of the Amazon tax, the first battleground was the state of New York. But let me give you an actual sample scenario of what an Amazon affiliate is. And some of you guys may have done this before. How many people out here have ever linked to Amazon for a book? How many of those people are part of the Amazon Associates program? This applies to pretty much a lot of you. Sample scenario here, comic book geek, an ex-KCD fan, reads Dots for Eyes blog, which is a great comic blog, out of New York, and Dots for Eyes refers them to a graphic novel on Amazon. It's a typical scenario, right? Happens all the time. Okay? Now, comic book geek could be located in Arizona, not New York, in Florida, not New York. In the kind of tax situation we're talking about, even though the website, Dots for Eyes, is located physically in New York, and it has no part of the transaction other than a commission. So transaction itself happens in Amazon. Amazon headquarters are here in Washington. The states think of it, and New York specifically was, again, the first one to kick this off, think of it as a transaction that the blog becomes part of the Amazon sales force. So instead of being an independent blog, they consider it part of a Salesforce situation. And Salesforce's out-of-state are taxable. So this is the way the transactions look at it from a state view, right? Instead of nice, happy bloggers, we've got consumer from Arizona clicks on an ad for Amazon. The ad happens to be hosted by a New York affiliate, right? They're just posting up the ad. It could be just a book, a link, an actual ad. The transaction goes from New York to Washington, where the consumer actually checks out and all the processing happens. Well, not necessarily the processing, but the consumer actually checks out. And New York is taxing those transactions. So when this law was passed, there was a couple fallout from it. Amazon Overstock immediately filed suit against, and Overstock eliminated all New York affiliates. Arbitrarily, bam. And Overstock wasn't the only one. There was several hundred smaller companies who also eliminated all their affiliates. New York affiliates reported losses of up to 72% of their income. Now, these are not the people who are just doing beer money. These are the people who are doing affiliate marketing for a living. Amazon's specific changes partially or directly attributed to compliance concerns. And these are changes that Amazon did because they were worried about compliance. They removed all search affiliates. And Amazon, you've got to remember, is a company that's been built on affiliate marketing. They were one of the first, their program was one of the first affiliate programs out there. And URL shorteners were banned, which Twitter folks, I mean, there was a whole other argument about this, about why Amazon is targeting URL shorteners. Additionally, because, again, in this kind of situation, to me, there's no necessarily good guy, bad guy, but Overstock and Amazon used affiliates as leverage against the states where the current battle was going on. Because after New York, everybody watched that battle happen, and then the other states were like, well, we want a piece of that action too, because New York purportedly was going to create $5 million of extra income for the state. So states who passed the tax: New York, North Carolina, Rhode Island. So if any of you out there are in those states, specifically North Carolina and Rhode Island, Amazon has terminated affiliate associations there. Overstock has as well. Again, a lot of other merchants have as well. And by merchants, I mean everybody from like a Barnes & Noble to a Buy.com. There's a lot of people that are affected in terms of companies. Almost every company you could think of, including your Apples out there, you know, are impacted by this. States where the tax was defeated in legislation was California, Connecticut, Hawaii, Maryland, Minnesota, Tennessee. But California was close because California came down to a veto, where Schwarzenegger ended up vetoing the bill before it was passed. Otherwise, California would also be on the passing side. That's just this year. Here are the states where the battle is expected to be repeated next year. All those: California, Connecticut, Florida, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, Minnesota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, Wisconsin, and Virginia. I think that probably impacts a big chunk of this room. What's interesting is Rhode Island passed the law, but this is a quote from their general treasurer after the law was passed. It said, you know, I took a look at this issue and I don't think it's the right idea at this time. It hurts our local businesses. The internet has revolutionized how business is done in our country, and I don't think we in Rhode Island have the standing to try and change the business model. This was after it was passed. This is their own treasurer. Now, what's interesting in California, where we said that the law was vetoed, the bill was vetoed, it was AB 178, California. And what's interesting about this is all the people who band together against AB 178. When was the last time you saw that group in that circle band together on something? Doesn't happen very often. And again, even with them banding together and their money and clout, two things I noticed during this whole fight. How many people heard about the California tax fight, even with these big names fighting? Not a lot in this room, considering how many big names there are involved. So there wasn't a lot of push going on as far as actual media coverage. Okay? So again, that's why it came down to a veto. What's interesting is at the veto, Schwarzenegger, Arnie, said, yesterday I vetoed, I wish I could do his accent. Yesterday I vetoed the majority vote tax increase passed by the legislature. With unemployment at the all-time high, we should be doing everything we can to keep jobs. That is why my administration immediately contacted Overstock.com when we learned of this news, and I'm pleased to announce Overstock.com has reversed its decision to ban affiliates. That's what they had done prior to the vote, and will continue to do business with affiliates here in California. So Overstock and Amazon, prior to the vote, because again, after the tax is ratified, there's not an ancestry issue, and they're worried about compliance, said we're just pulling everybody out. We're stopping all work with California and affiliates for its Amazon Overstock. Again, preempting the situation. Now, one of the purposes here and kind of about the rant was that there's a lot of tax law out there that's going on, whether it's affiliate related and this kind of thing in a marketing situation, or it has to do with such things as security and cookies and those kind of things. And there's legislatures essentially passing laws or thinking about laws. And one of the cookies laws to me is kind of crazy, where Nevada and New Hampshire are thinking about possibly working on bills to make all cookies opt-in. Now, whether or not that bill actually goes anywhere, the fact that the legislatures often don't have a lot of information, because frankly, all of us don't always have the newest information about all these things because they change constantly, right? The legislatures need outreach to kind of know what they're getting into as far as these bills, because otherwise there's going to be special interest groups. And a note, on the California law, AB 178, the people who were pushing the law were retail footprint stores, there were booksellers, that were partially going after Amazon again as a target. So places to get some more information, if you're related to the affiliate side at all, affiliatevoice.com and Performance Marketing Alliance are two that you're probably interested in. What's interesting as far as all taxable laws out there, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants is a great resource in terms of just knowing what kind of laws are out there. They write a great series of blogs. The CDT, Center on Democracy and Technology, not only on tax issues, but on issues as far as security and so on. And then something that we hope to happen. So the reason Amazon, everybody's pulling out is they're saying that, well, why pay sales tax in California if I can, still get clients out of Illinois? And the Streamlined Sales Tax Project wants to get a tax that's across the whole nation, that's a flat tax. And whether or not it's through the federal government or through some kind of parameters where the states kind of agree on, these are our levels that we're going to agree on with the tax, the Streamlined Sales Tax Project is working on that tax. Because frankly, some kind of tax is coming, and it's not necessarily the tax is bad. It's just these legislatures are implementing these taxes without enough information. And that was basically it. If anybody's got questions, photo credits for 2 photos I used for Dot for Eyes and from Flickr. Thank you.
Thank you.